Hello friends and welcome to my channel, and today we will be discussing about Asia-Africa Growth Corridor. Basically this is a project which is being formulated to counter the One Belt One Road initiative by China. As you know, India walked out of the OBOR forum this month, and it always wanted to look for an alternative. So this alternative has come from May 24 from the African Development Bank General Meeting, which was conducted at Gandhinagar, Gujarat, where PM Modi had announced it. And Asia-Africa Growth Corridor will be coming up with alliance from Japan, which has committed to invest around 200 billion US dollars. So this is a huge project, and it is being judged as a parallel project with One Belt One Road. And these two projects are basically trade and commerce related projects, whereas OBOR is concerned with mainly land based trade and commerce, but Asia Africa Growth Corridor will be a sea based project, and we will be discussing about it in detail in this presentation. Let's go through the map of Asia. For most of you who are preparing for UPSC, map questions are a must. So you have to be very careful in studying the maps, and you have to remember the order of the nations either in the east to west direction or from north to south direction. And mostly what I find that students face a lot of difficulties when they basically do these kind of Central Asian countries, okay. And mostly in UPSC the questions are asked regarding the countries which are around the Caspian Sea or Black Sea, so you have to take special care about it. So for revision purpose, let me tell you, in Central Asia the uppermost country is Kazakhstan, whose capital is Astana. Under it is Uzbekistan with the capital of Tashkent, and moving on, beside it is Kyrgyzstan with the capital of Bishkek. And under Kyrgyzstan there is Tajikistan, whose capital is Dushanbe. Under Uzbekistan there is Turkmenistan with capital Ashgabat. So you have to take special care about it, and especially the countries which surround Caspian Sea and Black Sea as well. So I think if I start covering the maps, the video will be unnecessarily long and we will deviate from our topic. So prepare the map, and this is a very recent topic. I will suggest you who are preparing for UPSC and will be appearing for UPSC in this month, please go through this section because this has been in news in the OBOR forum. So a question from this section is a must. Now let's take a look of the map of Africa. This is a political map of Africa. Here this is the Horn of Africa, it is Somalia, and here also you have to remember the countries which are around Red Sea and the countries which are around Lake Victoria, okay. And let me name the countries. I think it might not be visible to you all, so I would suggest you to go through your atlas right now. For your revision, let me tell you, around Lake Victoria in the northernmost part there are Uganda and Kenya. Uganda's capital is Kampala and Kenya's capital is Nairobi. In the southern part of Lake Victoria there is Tanzania. Now let's talk about from where the idea of AAGC came up. It was in November 2016 that PM Narendra Modi and Japanese PM Shinzo Abe announced it, and recently on May 24th in the general meeting of African Development Bank, which was conducted at Gandhinagar, it was formally announced and a 30-page booklet has been published. The growth corridor talks are still under progress, so there has not been a clear picture about it, but still I have tried to give you an analysis about what are its implications on India and in comparison to One Belt and One Road. This is basically targeted for free and open Indo-Pacific region, and this will be acting as an alternative for the OBOR project. Under the AAGC, it is a low-cost marine route. As you know, in OBOR, the eastern part of China is linked to Europe, and it is a land route which is covered either by road or by rail. But in AAGC, it is an exclusive marine route growth corridor, and you can see it in the map, and this map has been taken by me from Indian Express newspaper. And as you know, by sea the cargo can be transported in bulk, which will result in less carbon footprint, which is a eco-friendly step. And comparison to land, obviously if you run a train and the Central Asian countries won't have electric facility, and as they are electric deficient countries, they do not have electricity to feed their population. Okay, so they won't have sufficient electricity to run a train, so obviously the train will be running by fossil fuel. So this will be having a greater carbon footprint than a cargo ship. Okay, so till now the picture has the picture is not clear about what would be the ports of connections and what would be the routes. And as per the reports, the three decided routes are Jamnagar, which is in Gujarat, which will be connected to Djibouti. Djibouti is a small North African country which is located here. Then second is Madurai in Karnataka, will be connected to Zanzibar, which is in Tanzania, and which will be connected to Mombasa, which is in Kenya. Thirdly, Kolkata will be connected to Myanmar. So these things are still in a stage of discussion and nothing has been made sure about it. So these are the first hand informations which I am providing to you. Moving on, let's discuss why Asia-Africa Growth Corridor is being discussed now. It is basically because Africa is a huge continent which is unexplored to its full extent yet. The majority population of Africa are still under poverty and they do not get adequate economic growth opportunities. And taking the advantage of this lack in economic structure and growth, China has been able to penetrate the African continent, and in the year 2016-17, the trade figures in Africa show that 27% of the imported goods to Africa were of Chinese origin, and China is also involved in massive greenfield projects. And till now, the investments of China are in figure of 38 billion US dollars. So you see, this is a huge investment by China, and the AAGC program has been made to basically curtail the Chinese dominance in the international market. And as China has already started the OBOR, which is trying to link the East China region to the Europe to whip up the economic scenario there. So this has been formulated just to curtail the Chinese dominance. Now let's take a brief look about the comparison of OBOR and AAGC. AAGC is still in its baby days and nothing much has been formulated about it. But still, I am trying to give you a broad classification, a broad comparison among them. OBOR is a land-based project, as I told earlier, and AAGC is a sea-based project. OBOR is obviously a Chinese-dominated project, whereas AAGC is a Japan and India-dominated project. OBOR is a less consultative project where sufficient time was not given to the participant nations, and it was one of the major reasons why India backed off from the OBOR forum in the last minute. But AAGC is more consultative in nature, and the member countries are given sufficient time to consult their experts and discuss about their gain from the program. In OBOR, China has committed investments of level 800 billion US dollars, whereas in AAGC till date Japan has committed to invest around 200 billion US dollars. So this has been a very crude kind of comparison I have tried to give you here. So if you are preparing for mains exam, obviously more information about AAGC would have come to light till then. So if I find some more information about AAGC, I will definitely make another video about it. So do not worry. Now just focus on the prelims, and I have given you that much amount of data which is in public domain. Now let's discuss how will India benefit out of AAGC. First of all, you know about the Sagarmala project, which is a port development project which has been undertaken in India. This has been basically to replicate the Chinese model of growth, where in China you will find that most of the cities, bigger cities like Beijing and Shanghai, they are all port cities. Okay, and most of the revenues they have garnered for themselves, they are mostly from export import activities. Okay, so this is a very proven method that if you want a city, if you want development in your area, in a coastal area, you need to have ports, operational ports. So Sagarmala project is basically trying to replicate the Chinese model. So the investments made under Sagarmala project will be used under full potential, and this will obviously be very fruitful for India. Second, if the port cities and the export imports are increased, this will give a better and bigger impetus to the manufacturers, and manufacturers will be encouraged to produce goods which will be directly exported. This will lead to increase in foreign exchange of India. So just imagine, if by increasing the exports, if we are increasing our forex kitty with the RBI, we will be having greater say in the IMF, or for that sake in the Asian Development Bank or the New Development Bank, which are being touted as alternatives to curtail the dominance of IMF in the international market. So this will be a win-win condition for India. Thirdly, the Skill India mission, which has been running in India, where most of the youths are being trained, they will find proper employment, and this will lead to higher standard of living as well. Along with getting employment, if we are getting better export, that will be a double achievement for India. Fourth benefit for India will be close exposure to Japanese technology in infrastructure. Obviously, Japan is one of the most technologically advanced nations. So if Indian engineers get to work with their Japanese counterpart, they will be having a better exposure to their technology. This will lead to development of our country as well. And lastly, India will have a bigger say in the international trade and commerce. This is an obvious outcome, so I have written it in the last. The first 4 points are important in my point of view. So in my view, these 4 points are how India will be benefited from AAGC. So friends, I tried to cover what much is there in public domain regarding AAGC in this video. If you find it interesting, please like the video. So guys, that was all. Do subscribe to my channel. Thank you.
India's effort to counter China's One Belt One Road could soon get a big Russian helping hand. Aiming to put in place a key maritime route connecting India with Northeast Asia and Western Pacific region, Delhi is contemplating to put in place a major connectivity initiative direct shipping link between China and Vladivostok amid China's ambitious maritime Silk Route connecting Asia with Africa. With India making concrete moves to expand its presence in Far East Russia to harness natural resources as evident through Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj's visit to Vladivostok last week, plans are in making for a maritime link connecting China with the key Russian port on the Pacific. This shipping link would enable to transfer cargo between China and Vladivostok in 24 days in comparison to over 40 days currently taken to transport goods from India to Far East Russia via Europe, according to experts on the subject. This proposed maritime route, which could be transformed into a corridor, could juxtapose with Indo-Japan Pacific to Indian Ocean corridor amid Beijing's OBOR, of which maritime Silk Route is a part, virtually connecting entire SE Asia through road, shipping and rail links. Swaraj met top Russian ministers from Putin's cabinet: Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, Industry Minister Denis Manturov, Natural Resources Minister Sergei Donskoy, and Deputy PM and President's Envoy for Far East Yuri Trutnev, besides governors of provinces in the region, to further India's role amid Moscow's aim to diversify options besides China. South Korean President and Japanese PM were present at the Far East Forum that saw senior-level representation, Swaraj, from India for the first time. Few months back, Russia announced visa-free entry for Indians in its Far East. On the occasion, Swaraj also launched Russia Desk for facilitating Russian investments into India, as assured by PM Narendra Modi during the annual summit in St. Petersburg in June. This is the third such desk in India after Japan and Korea. Russia Desk would provide complete support service for any kind of Russian investment businessmen, from legislative to taxation, from personnel to finding right partner, according to informed officials. The Far Eastern Federal District, twice the size of India, is the largest but the least populated of the 8 federal districts of Russia, with a population of roughly 6.3 million. Russian affairs experts who did not wish to be identified indicated to Economic Times that Moscow is sensitive to growing Chinese presence in Russia's Far Eastern region, particularly increasing population from China which are settling there. This pattern could change demographics of Far East Russia, and growing presence of other countries including India will help to bring balance, pointed out an expert. India was the first country to establish a resident consulate in Vladivostok in 1992. Current engagement of India with the region is limited to isolated pockets such as the Irkut Corporation in Irkutsk, where the MiG and Sukhoi aircraft are built, and over $6 billion worth of investments by ONGC Vizh Limited in the Sakhalin-1 project, according to persons familiar with the issue. The region has a wealth of natural resources such as land, timber, mineral, and other resources like tin, gold, diamonds, and oil and natural gas. The Russian government has announced several initiatives to attract investments in the region, including an agricultural special economic zone, the Vladivostok Free Port project, and also invites participation in the timber industry, mining of the huge mineral resources, coal and diamonds, and precious metal deposits, gold, platinum, tin, and tungsten. Opportunities for collaboration for Indian companies include in such sectors as agriculture, mining, port development and infrastructure, diamond processing, agro-processing.